So, it should be running now. Yes. And you can hear me and I can see the chat. We can't see the chat on the stream yet because apparently they always need a little time before that works. And even when it works, it's kind of laggy. But anyway, hello guys. Here I am, back, not from the dead, but let's also maybe change the music, maybe a little too crazy. A little more chill. Anyway, so I'm back, and the reason I've been gone is first of all, I've been on vacation 1 week. Perfect, no problem. Nothing much happened there, of course. And then when I got home, I got sick. I got really sick. Just flu stuff, but damn, I was sick. Just coughing, snot, fever, headaches, just bad. So nothing happened there either. So that was half of February just gone. No work and no game dev. So yeah, not good. But I have to clean this. So how are you guys? Let me just clean this before I get to what today is about. Last few days have been a cold only. Yeah, I'm coughing a little, as you can hear, and a little snotty cold thing. But besides that, I might be a little more tired than I used to, but in general, I'm feeling okay again. But damn, I can't remember at least when the last time I was this sick for this long. It's crazy. Anyway, when is multiplayer coming? Not yet. I started 2 live streams ago. Let's just recap on that. So like 2 live streams ago, that means around a month ago, I started on multiplayer. And if you might have missed it, multiplayer is a huge task. It's a big task in itself. And changing an existing single player game to be multiplayer is an enormous, crazy task. Doing it with a game that also supports mods, is almost impossible. So I have all odds against me. But anyway, I'm giving it a go. So it will take a long time. And as I said in the first live stream, first of all, I cannot promise it will ever be a thing. I can promise I will try, but I can never promise it will actually ever be a part of the game. Because if I can't get it to work good enough, it will never be a part of the game. But let's not start with that, because there's a long time until I'm skipping this. So timeline-wise, I think 1-2 years is kind of realistic to have something that works for multiplayer. Hopefully 1 year instead of 2, but let's see. I'm building this game in my spare time, so right now it's 4:45 in the afternoon, so I just finished work and now is the time for game dev. So I have kind of an hour now. Normally I have a little longer than that, but today the wife is out, so I'm making dinner, so I have a little less time today for game dev. Oh yeah, I have to change the Streamlab part. The Streamlab message. Let's take a look here. Let's do that right away. So, because of sick and on vacation, nothing has really... I have done some stuff on multiplayer, but it's something behind the scenes that you can't see anyway. And we're actually getting... Well, I'll get to some of that, which is not directly multiplayer, but it's related to multiplayer. But we'll get back to that in a moment. Let me fix this Streamlabs bot thingy. So I have what? I can never remember commands. Multiplayer is a very big task. So is that schedule? Okay. So it says multiplayer is a very big task and not something probably will be part of. However, I'm planning to look in. However, I am. Should I say? However, I am. However, as of 2023, I am working on adding multiplayer to the game. Boom. Confirm. So now let's say multiplayer. Let's see if it, maybe it's a cooldown. Yeah, there's a cooldown, so it won't post it right away. So probably nothing to do. You can do, yeah. About the lag with this chat bot here, I think it's either it's a YouTube issue or it's a Streamlabs issue. It seems to be running okay today. Super Druzel, you're so behind. So behind. It's so confirmed. Well, it's confirmed that I'm working on, and I have actually worked on it. So, hello, Frankie Boy. Hello, C. Sullivan. D. Super Druzel. Jose. No, you're Sui. I can't see these names. Ali, Lars, Carson, Guanaco, Killer, Dan, Gamer Brother. So everybody's here. Let me get to this. Okay. Super sent me. Okay, nice. Super can't believe multiplayer comes out tomorrow. Yeah, that would be cool, but I can also promise you that's not gonna happen. Oh, I could release what I have now, but it will be very boring very quickly. But anyway, let's get back to what this live stream is actually about. I might do some multiplayer at some point, but I'm still in a phase where it's kind of boring stuff, just to make the player kind of work, you could say. Anyway, you might remember from the last live stream that I think I mentioned it there, that so you know, there is the current version of the game, and then there is another, I have a branch where I'm doing the multiplayer stuff. when I say branch here, it's kind of a branch in the source control and not a Steam branch as such. And the reason I'm doing that is because multiplayer will take a long time. So you are building, or normally when you're doing features, you are doing it in a branch anyway. This is just a big feature, so this branch will live for a long time. Anyway, this will take a long time, as I said in the beginning. So I think I will still be doing some minor things on the normal version of the game that I then also, you know, merge to the multiplayer version, but also something that I will release to you guys while I on the side work on multiplayer. It won't be major things, but the thing is with a Unity game where you have a lot of packages and you have Unity, of course, if you don't try to keep up with the latest version of Unity, with the latest version of whatever packages you're using, I have previously experienced that suddenly you are so far behind that it's almost impossible to get back on track, meaning you miss out on new changes and fixes and improvements to, for instance, Unity or the packages you're using. So therefore I have to try and keep the game kind of up to date with packages and stuff like that. So that's one thing of just keeping the game. It doesn't really add anything to the game, it just makes it work on the latest version of stuff. So it's mostly a technical thing for me to be able to continue. You won't see a lot of changes. But on top of that, while working on multiplayer as seen in previous live streams, I need to refactor a lot of stuff. I need to change a lot of stuff in the game. For instance, how the player work, how the player is spawned. For instance, in the normal version of the game, the player was just in the game when you started, because it was, could count on him always being there. But in the multiplayer version, the spawning of the player have to happen more dynamically, because, first of all, the player hosting the game need to spawn in dynamically when the server's ready, and joining players needs to spawn in dynamically too. So just that little thing, and there's tons of these, that little thing changed everything around. And so and I don't know how long I can continue on this. And by the way, disclaimer, as always, live stream here, very technical, so try to keep up, and if it doesn't make sense, just see it as you might learn something. But anyway, so I learned some stuff in the multiplayer version of the game. For instance, like the player need to be spawned in a different way, and for the changes that I think could also work in the normal version of the game, I try to switch back to the normal version, do the changes there, and then merge that stuff over to the multiplayer. So why am I doing that? And it might be a terrible idea, but the idea is to try and make the gap between the existing version of the game and the multiplayer version of the game be as little as possible, so the difference is not super huge. And also because some of the things, the thing we will actually work on today is actually something that benefits the old version too, like how the sounds are loaded in a game. So that is what we will start working on today. I don't know if we get to the multiplayer part, but before I got sick and vacation and all that, I was doing some refactoring where I changed how sounds were loaded. It's not necessarily specific this particular one is not super related to multiplayer actually, but it's something I wanted to do for a long time. And let me quickly explain. First of all, I use something called Master Audio as the library for playing sounds in the game. And it's been a while since I updated that package, so I was thinking, let's update that. So I upgraded the package, that's fine. But at the same time, before that actually, I also changed how game sounds were loaded. Previously, in the current version that you guys have in the normal version of the game, sounds are actually loaded on each map load. Every time you go out of, you go from the menu to a map, for instance, all the sounds that was actually loaded in the menu is discarded and then loaded up again in the main in the game. And when you restart, you skip everything and then load everything again. Why do I do that? Because it sounds very inefficient? Well, because it's the easiest way to make sure everything is as you expect. So it's been working like that all the time, and the same goes with mods sounds, which is dynamically loaded when a mod is loaded. They were also added dynamically on each map load. So to speed up loading times a little, and because we don't need to load in the sounds, and when I say loading the sounds, what is actually happening behind the scenes is that for all the sounds that the game have, for instance, some explosion sounds from a mod, what the game do behind the scenes is that it create like 20 or 40 instances of this sound and then disable all of them. So it have kind of a pool of sounds that it can just pick from, because that initial load of the sound takes a while, and you don't want to do that when the sound actually needs to play. So therefore it loads it up front and then disable it, and then it's much quicker just to play it and disable it again, and it can do like that. So anyway, so I changed that. Trying to change that in a new version, where I'm now loading in sounds and then keeping it active in the game, which speeds up things a little, and yeah, it makes it simpler in other ways because it doesn't have to reload all of this all the time. Long story short, now we get to the thing we're actually gonna fix, because all of this seems to be working fine, no problem. Then I had a little test of this version sent to Kel'Thuzar, and he discovered some issues. He discovered that some sounds were not playing, and now it becomes super technical, but bear with me, might be interesting. So one thing that is also, when you're making a game in Unity, there is a limit to how many sounds you can play at the same time. I think the limit is like 200. I can't remember exact, but let's say 200. So you can only play 200 sounds at the same time. And as you know, with all the stuff going on in this game, there's a ton of sounds going on. Like one battery can do many sounds very, very quickly. The thing is, even though it might in real life play 200 sounds in 1 second, in a game you can't hear the difference. You can't hear 200 of the same sounds or 200 sounds at the same time like that. So therefore, as always, you're cheating a little when you're making a game, and try to only play as many sounds as you are able to hear, and then skip the rest. So how do you figure that one out? That's a little more tough. But anyway, so there is a limit set on each sound, and that has been there for all the time. That there's a limit to how many of the same sound can actually play at the same time. Or so I thought. It was set like that. But the upgrading of the master audio that I just did fixed a bug in master audio, and that bug was that limitation didn't always work. So the version you have actually have some limitations, but due to that bug, that limitation is not actually affecting anything. So it actually do play a lot of sounds in many cases. So after I upgraded, suddenly all these limits were actually working, and it limited all the sound. And the way you can see it is that there's a battery going off, and you can clearly see, the first 3 or 4 sounds play an explosion sound, and then suddenly it's just blinking and there's no sound. And that looks weird. So I tried to fix that. Kel'Thuzar did some more tests, and we're still not there. And now I'm actually thinking of just removing this limitation for mod sounds and see if it doesn't just work fine like that. Anyway, let me start up the game here and let's take a look at it. Now I did a long explanation, talked for 18 minutes. Let's look at some stuff. So I just wanted to fix this little, and then soon I will put this this version on experimental. Again, there's not a huge change of stuff, but there are some smaller things. But again, as I said in the beginning, it's just a matter of keeping the game up to date with Unity versions and package versions and all that stuff like that. And that will hopefully continue during the year. I will update the game like this. Okay, chat-wise, lots of messages. Do we get multiplayer? Jørgen Gaming asks. Well, I'm working on it, but it will be a while, for sure. And could you please add a drop function where you press E again to drop fireworks instead of throwing it? Sullivan, if you just click the right mouse button, he actually just drops it, because the force he's throwing is so small, so he will just drop it. I would say. Let's try it out. But anyway, okay, he doesn't drop it, he actually throws it a little in front of him. Anyway, let's go out, because I need What was it? Kel'Thuzad was the Amnesty Winter 3 or something like that we tested with, right? I think it was this one, yeah. The problem is most likely with a lot of them, but I just know one of these. It was clear to see the issue there. Yep, okay. So this is version 23.2.1, no multiplayer, anything. Just regular version, but with some changes behind the scenes. For instance, how the players spawn and how sounds are handled. So let's first take a look at. No, it wasn't. Yeah, okay, it was this one. Fine. So let's maybe stop the music and let's take a listen here. That was fine. So that looked fine. To me at least, it seems like there was a explosion sound on each of these explosions. Another trick that this system is also doing is that it limits how many sounds can be played in one frame. What is one frame? Well, you know, the game runs with like 60 frames per second, 120 frames per second, and each frame is one calculation basically. So, and it doesn't make sense to play 50 sounds in one frame of the same sound, because that best case it sounds terrible. Next best, you can't hear it anyway. It will just sound like one. So therefore, there's also a limit to how many things you can play per frame. Anyway, this looked fine. Let's try and change it. So let's just try so we can actually see the problem. And this was mod sound, so that they work a little different than the built-in sounds, because the built-in sounds I set up manually each of them with different settings, but the mod sounds is loaded in dynamically, and therefore have the same settings for all of them. And right now the limit is set to, it used to be 3, but now I set it to 18. But just so to show the problem, so you can see it, let's set it up to, let's set it back to 3, and then we can actually see the problem. Oh, and another thing, there's something called, and that's a new thing they added in, well, it's something that's been all there all the time, but it haven't been able to set it on this dynamic sound group before. It's something called age priority, and what that should do, and I don't think it works, or I've misunderstood it, but as I understood it, was that the system should use the age of a clip to prioritize it. And how I understand that is that, let's say we have a limit of 3 of the same sounds at a given point at the same time, and then a 4th one plays. What I would hope and thought happened was that when the 4th one needs to be played, it sees that, okay, we already having 3 playing, so now that number 4 needs to play, let's find the oldest one of the 3, remove that, and then we have room to play number 4. Why is that important? Well, for instance, in our case with explosions, an explosion have kind of a bang, and then it have kind of, let's say maybe half a second or 1 second of sound where the sound fades out, or some echoing thing or whatever. Visually you see the bang and you hear the explosion sound, and then it kind of falls off. With that in mind, if you're missing the bang, you will see it. So if that number 4 sound that we want to play doesn't play, it will be very obvious, as you will see in a moment, because the bang sound is missing. But if a sound that is already fading out is turned off and a new one is played on top of it at the same go, you won't notice it. And this is how us game developers are cheating you guys. Anyway, it doesn't seem like it's actually working like that, but I would like it to work like that. But anyway, so maybe you start to see why it takes so long to make a game. Right now I've been talking 25 minutes, and we only talked about one example of playing sounds and how to do that in a way so it performs and works well without you discovering all this stuff going on behind the scenes. So, not that it's a secret, but as a player you shouldn't think about all this. Is sometimes using with Fmod sound system. Yeah, I'm using as I said, something called Master Audio, but there seem to be like these two, Master Audio and Fmod sound. It's only those cakes and not the absolute. Well, this problem is general for for a lot of stuff, but of course it's not visible or discoverable for stuff that doesn't play that many sounds. Let's try this one, and let's see. Now I set it back to 3, I think. So now you should see that it stops playing. See, that's pretty obvious. That is not working correctly. So now it will lag a little more because I have this one open, but over here we can actually see the sounds playing. Let's see. I see how many of the sounds are playing. So if we try to look here, you can see here it's only playing 3 of them, and then they're stopping. So let's try just again. Now I'm just showing you how this works now, and we're just testing it out, and then we can increase it in a moment. So now the limit was 3. Let's try and turn this limitation off, and let's see and hear what happens. Just so we learn something. And this is the limit frame based. Okay. And then we can look up this age parity in a moment too. I can maybe do something like this. Okay, while it loads. So use clip age priority. If you turn this on, even non-falling sounds will have their priority recalculated every seconds using this setting above. So reprioritizing time gap. Okay, so it needs to. Okay, some time have to, and maybe that's why then. So it doesn't do it all the time, of course, because there's a performance thing to this. Using a pre-priced. Okay. Taking into account the amount of time since the sound was started, newer clips will get a higher priority. Old clips will be more likely to be muted. That's exactly what I explained before, that we want the new sounds to be played, have higher priority than older clips. So that's fine. Turning this on will cost extra performance, so users will care on mobile and make sure you ain't using a faster time gap than you need. Yeah, okay. Yeah, but the problem for us is that, and maybe it's fine to have, but maybe it's not that real. It won't work for us in many cases at least, with the cakes and fireworks, because sounds are playing that rapidly after each other, and this one doesn't help in that case. It only works in cases where there's a little longer time between, let's say half a second or something between the sounds, and not these fast moving things or fast playing things. Anyway, so let's go back here and let's go in here again, and then no, let's do like this, because now I turned off this limitation. So now we should be able to see over here. Before we saw it was like it played like 3 sounds. Now let's see if we have no limitations. 15, 16. Okay, so it maxed out around 16. But some of you guys are crazy. So you play like tons of these at the same time. So what happens then? It's lagging a lot here, but that's because this drawing of this in Unity is very, very bad performing, I guess. So it takes up a lot of resources. So that's why the game is so lagging when I'm showing this over here. But that doesn't, it's not important. So let's say here and let's take a look. So now we start to hit the hard limit of 50. Okay, so there is an upper limit anyway on 50 of the same sound. Okay. Okay. So you could say, why do I wanna, limit this? Why not let it just play whatever it wants? And as I said in the beginning, that's to try and make sure that you feel like you are hearing all the sounds in the game. So let's say, some of you guys go crazy, fire off more than once at a time. So there can be literally, in real life, thousands of sounds playing at the same time. But as I said in the beginning, you can't do that in a game. You can't hear it and you can't play it. So let's say you have a battery that fires off 500 sounds in 1 second. Then if we don't limit it, it's a little put on the edge, but let's say it fired off 500 and you could actually do that in the map, Master Audio, then you would only hear the sound from that single cake, and then everything else you were seeing would be silent. That's weird, right? You will complain about that. That will be reported as a bug. So that is why there is these limits in here. Anyway, going back, I think I will put this then. It was set to 18. It was the hard limit of 50. So let's try with 25, and then I will put it on experimental, and you guys can test it out. And let's see if anybody finds any firework or any scenarios where it's very obvious that there is a weird sound stuff. Hello Ricky. Hello Kev. I was wondering why I was subbed to this channel, and I just realized it's Fireworks Mania. Yeah, welcome. I'm happy you're subbed. But I could maybe do more to get more subs and more views and stuff like that, but really and that's also why I'm doing these live streams here, because I want to do more devlogs and stuff like that, and that's usually what draws people in, and especially if you do tutorials, you will get people in. But as I have been saying before, I'm not a YouTuber making a game. I'm a game developer having a YouTube channel. And right now the thing is, making a devlog or making a tutorial or whatever takes a long time, and that's time away from the game. So right now I'm come to the conclusion that live streams is actually what gives me the most for the less effort, because so why I'm doing this? Well, I'm doing this to, well, of course it would be nice to get more views and more subscribers, but I'm mainly doing it to have a connection with you guys, the hardcore ones, and let you in on the insights of the game you apparently like. So and the live streams are easy for me to do because I can just do it. Of course, I talk a little more here than I would do if I was just working on my own, but it's not as much, and I actually do get stuff done while being live. So right now that seems to be a good yeah, what's it called in English? I don't know. Yeah, the cost benefit kind of thing works best like this. Hello, Midtjylland Fireworks, another Dane, I hear. Okay, so we said 25, and we have I've also changed the limit. I actually increased that a little to how many you can play. Well, you can play one per frame. It doesn't have to be multiple. Okay, yep. Okay. Let's just try it out again and let's see if we can see anything obvious, and then else I think that's it. And I see the time is almost up too. Ah, damn it. Off. I'm putting my military toy on a box, and that's all AFK on. I don't understand that. No, people get so confused about that. There's a mirror here. So it's not a very, very long sofa. It's just a regular size sofa. It's just double. So, no, that's also, you can also, typically when the dog is there, you can see him twice because he's there and there. And I don't have two windows with the same blanket in each of them. And two dogs that does the exact same thing at the exact same time. What causes that makes the sound like a glitchy robot? Huh? Let's try again here, and we do like this. Yeah, okay, let's try and do like that, and then so now it should limit it to 25. Ah, see, that's why you test, because it didn't limit to 25. And you know why? Let me see if you can see why. So we just changed this limit thing to 25. So why doesn't it work? Any idea? I'll give you 1 minute. I think also you can see line numbers, and then you can say what line have an error. Må du være stille, jo? Ja, tror jeg. Okay, I give up. Oh, you guys give up. We turned off this limiting thing. So let's turn that back on. So can someone get me up to date? Is he currently adding multiplayer code? Not right now, actually, but I am. But right now I'm working on a minor update for the existing game, but it's part of something that is something I do also to work in multiplayer. So so we go again here, blah 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 blah. So let's see. So now it should live at 25, and I think that's fine. And let's see if any of you see some, when you test it on experimental, if you see any issue. So it's 25 now. So it's limited to 25 now. Let me try and do something like this so it doesn't lag as much. And now I just want to visually look at it and see if it looks correct, because sometimes it's obvious. So you can see when this much going on, can't really see if all the sounds are playing, but I didn't see anything obviously not playing a sound. And now it's shooting off on the ground, so I can't see that. Okay, so that's fine. That's fine. Let's commit that. Limits to 25. So what I will do now is that I will put this version on experimental, I guess, and then see what people say if you find any issues or anything, and then I will continue on the multiplayer. I can show you the multiplayer. If some of you haven't seen the multiplayer version, let's just quickly take a look. Let me merge this new changes over here, like that, and like that. Boom. So let's see. Okay. Just if you haven't seen, nothing really have. I think I have done something off live streams, but again, it's some internal stuff, so you most likely can't see any change. And I actually had to revert some of the stuff I changed. So if you remember, in the first live stream, we put these black bar on the player to see whatever direction he's looking. But that was actually reverted, so that's not there right now. Maybe I should put it back actually, but you still can see what version he's pointing, because now you can see the tools in front of him. But there's a lot of stuff that is not working, like you cannot see. Well, there's tons of stuff that's not working. All you can do now is run around. I can run the game locally, just joining my own local game, but I also set it up so I can actually join via join code over the internet. And you might think, well, yes, of course, that's no big deal. But joining a multiplayer game over the internet in a peer-to-peer environment is not actually, well, Unity made it easy, but it is not easy to do. And actually, it also have a cost for me to run this. So that's also something I need to test over time. But anyway, I can use some relay server at Unity to do that. So it just, for you guys, at the end, just works perfect and easy. But right now it's not very easy and not very. Yeah, it's not. Damn it! I should. Okay, I just need to start up, and that's another thing with multiplayer. I need to figure out. For instance, the reason the game is so slow to load now, one of the reasons is that it loads in a ton of sounds. And for testing multiplayer stuff, I don't need all these sounds, so I will have to do something to limit the amount of sounds it loads when I'm testing. Because it doesn't matter at all when testing multiplayer stuff until you get to a point where you need to test some sounds and stuff like that. But we are not there at all. So, but again, that's just one of the minor things I'm doing. I will have to do. So what I'm doing now is that I'm opening up a clone of the game. And the reason for that is that to test multiplayer, you of course need to have 2 versions of the game. And one way of doing that is to use something called parallel sync in Unity, or somebody who made that for Unity. That it's pretty smart actually. It does something that makes a clone of the Unity project and then makes sure it's in sync. It can actually get out of sync. I have tried that already sometimes, but if you close it down, open it up again, it's usually in sync again. So that means I can sit in my normal Unity, do changes, hit play, and then hit play in the cloned version. And then it's like having 2 versions of it is actually having 2 versions of the game running. Because having to build out a build of the game each time I need to test something takes a ton of time. So, yeah, Guanaco, exactly, something like that. If it's an editor, exactly, or if I do some other flag to say disable sound or whatever, something. It's no problem to do that. I just have to do it in a way so that exactly I don't by mistake put that out in a build and stuff like that. So yeah, it's not like there's a lot of things I know how to fix. It just takes time to do and get it right. So let's see. So let's start up this one over here. Again, nothing much have happened, so I'm just showing you this to the ones of you who haven't seen the multiplayer version yet. And when I say seen the multiplayer version, it's very, very early, and it's just a white bean running around. But in case somebody is interested, just wanted to show it out. Okay, so. Okay, now it's also loading mods, but forget about that. That's not gonna happen in the first version, at least. I'm just doing it without the mods. But anyway, so let's do like this. And so what I'm doing here is that I'm starting a local host game. Like that. Oops. So like that. So now I'm in a game here. Looks as it used to. And now in the other one over here, again with a ton of errors and stuff like that, we can say, and now I can do the join localhost. Boom. So now I'm having, hopefully, yep. So here we go. So you can see all the tools are showing at the other player. So for this guy over here, oops. So for this guy over here, this is the other player, and you can also see when I'm controlling the. Wait a second, like that. Sorry. So I'm controlling the one to the right here, and when I, for instance, let's try that. When I, for instance, do click the button. First of all, where is the... Oh, it's here. So you can see that the other guys on this machine over to the right is also, clicking the torch. And you can see anything change, you can see here. So now I'm controlling the one to the right. If you look on the left screen, you should also be able to... for instance, you should see my my tools changing, for instance. That's one thing. Another thing. So but again, I haven't done anything to do that yet. Right now, the main thing is actually to just make the player work, and even now it's not working correctly because on the client, as I remember, there's tons of errors going on. Yeah, and it's something related to how the player used to work, and some components that are on there, and then suddenly there are 2 of these in the game, and that cannot work because it's not meant to be made with multiple instances of the player. So there's a ton of these minor things that I need to go through and change and fix and do stuff, just to make the bare thing working where you're just walking around. I can't spawn anything, you can't even pick stuff up, and yeah. So so that is actually the status right now of the multiplayer. It's the same. Again, I've been sick for a week. I have been on vacation for a week, so nothing happened for the past 2 weeks on this. Nothing major, at least. But this is where I am. I'm what I will continue on. Just taking baby steps, one little step at a time. Fixing and adding stuff. So yeah. Yeah, so hopefully we'll get a little more interesting at some point, but there will be tons of internal stuff that is boring to you guys, but will have to be working because else it won't work and won't feel good. So yeah, so I have a ton of these things in front of me I need to fix. And part of this, and I'm not sure actually when I will do this, but I also have the current player that I'm using, current player controller I'm using, is the old standard Unity standard player, first person player controller, whatever. And it works really bad. It's very hard to make changes to, and if you just wanted to change a little, it's not very easy. Just something like making it respawn, just changing the position of the player with code was crazy, stupidly annoying, and I had to do a lot of stuff just to make that work. So I have for a long time known that I would change the player controller at some point. And this could also be something that I do in the main version of the game. So, it gets out and we can, do some crouching so we can go down, and that's something that very much many people have asked for. But that would enable that, and it will also hopefully make it easier for me to do something different with the camera, so we can do maybe a fly mode and stuff like that. Where right now it's very, very tight and connected, and it's not very good. So that's some of the stuff that might show up in the game that you guys have access to, and it will be part of these updates. But it's something I'm doing to use it or make something easier in the multiplayer version. So it's just an example of stuff that could be pushed in the game to you guys in the main version, and that I continue on and add more stuff to in the multiplayer version. Anyway, time to make some dinner. So I think we will have to end it off here. Oh, 23 viewers. Oh, that's crazy. Nice. But so I think I will end it off. Again, not much new to show, but I can inform you that the audio stuff we just fixed, I will see if I can find time later today to push that to the experimental branch, so we can have a few people test it out and see if everything works as it should. Yeah, so that's it, and I'm out. 54 minutes live stream, short one, I know, but better than nothing. And I did some I got live, I gave you an update, and I got some stuff done. So it's kind of a win-win-win. And that's why the live stream seems to be the best way for me to connect with you guys right now. At least in a kind of a face-to-chat setup. And not just chat on Discord or something like that. Okay, so see you. I'll switch to the beautiful ending screen here, which I also have a note to myself to fix, but it's so cozy with that snow. But we should get a new one of these without the Christmas decoration and the snowing stuff. But yeah, see you guys in the next one. Bye.